Hi, welcome back to the next Make It Your Own video that we've been doing in this series with Mindfulness in Schools project. It is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Shui-fong Lam, who is the director of the Jockey Club Peace and Awareness Mindfulness Culture in Schools initiative and has been instrumental in doing some incredible work in Hong Kong over the last 7 years. And I wonder if you wouldn't mind, Shui-fong, at the beginning of this video, just sharing a little bit about that work.
Yeah, that's our project start in 2019. The short form of our project is Panda Project because peace and awareness is PMA Panda. And since 2019, we have been a very close collaborator with the MIST, the MISP, because in Hong Kong that we use almost all the curriculum developed by the MIST, including Paws, B, and Jockey Foundation. And we use a train the trainers approach that we train the teachers in Hong Kong so that they can teach Jockey and Paws to their students. So in the past 7 years, so far we have trained more than 800 school teachers and school helping professionals on Jockey Foundations, the 8-week course. And then we also have, through them, they have provided Paws and Jockey to more than 20,000 primary school and secondary school students. So that we have been a very close collaborator with the MIST. And we love the programs and the curriculum because it was so lively and the children and the adolescents like it. And our project is a research cum intervention project. That means we do not only offer the mindfulness training to teachers and through the teachers to the children, we also do a research that recently we have very good result from the randomized control trial on Paws. We found that the Paws was able to enhance the mental well-being of the children. That we use the WHO well-being scale, and we show that compared to the various control group, the kids who took the Paws, they have better mental well-being and also have a higher gratitude and also better teacher-student relationship. This is something that we love so much because as you see, that's our project. We aim at cultivating the mindfulness school culture so that this is not just the program itself. We hope that we can enhance the learning environment of the school so that the teachers and the students have a better relationship after they all embody mindfulness. Yeah.
Honestly, that's so inspiring to hear. It really is, both the work that you've done to teach adults and then in due course, then how that's impacted the students, because 20,000 students, that's just an amazing number. And really lovely to hear what you're sharing there about reaching all areas of school culture, and the fact that the research is showing a difference in the teacher-student relationship is so important in terms of that change within the whole school culture. So critical, really, really encouraging, just brilliant. I'm thinking that we probably will have to put some link to the research so that people can have a little look at that in more detail. That's wonderful to hear. And I know that your project is coming to an end, but you have more work that you're going to be doing. Do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, our project is funded by the Hong Kong Jockey Club Charity Trust, which is one of the 10 biggest charity trusts around the world. So that we got a very generous support from them so that we are able to offer the foundations free to the teachers, and also the teach Paws and the teach Jockey also free to the teachers. But now that at the end of the 7 years, we have to say goodbye. Because the donation cannot always go like this. But actually, that we have done something to make sure that there are some kind of substantiations. That, for example, like we are able to convince the Education Bureau in Hong Kong. Education Bureau in Hong Kong is just like Education Ministry in UK. Okay, now they are willing to take up some of the Jockey Foundation courses. They still will continue to offer it free to some of the teachers in Hong Kong. They have they have somehow that they integrated the Jockey Foundation into the training calendar system, which is for the school teachers as a continuing education unit. That's because we, on purpose, with intention, even 7 years ago, we tried to train the educational psychologists in the education bureau to empower them to teach the Jockey Foundations. And after 7 years, we have enough people who are able to teach the Jockey Foundations. And now the Hong Kong government, the Education Bureau, is willing to offer at least maybe 2 or 3 Jockey Foundation courses free to the teachers in Hong Kong. So that there's some sort of substantiations even after our project is closed by September.
That is also an incredible achievement to actually have that being offered through the Bureau. I take my hat off to you, because to have built that into the design so that there would be that continuity following projects ending, by having enough people who were qualified to deliver Jockey Foundations. That's just really amazing. I feel like I want to keep applauding you every time you share something. Thank you for sharing about that. And I know that one of the things that we've been doing with the Make It Your Own series is we've been taking a lesson at a time from .b and also Paws, where we've been talking about how we might have adapted it. And straight away I was thinking, as we were doing the series, I was thinking I really must reach out to Shui-fong and just check, because inevitably, because you're teaching that in a different culture, you will have had to have made adaptations to make it work for the young children and young people that your teachers will have been teaching. And it will be, I'm guessing, there's something around the translation and the images and things like that on a more general level, but also something about the teachers themselves when they're in front of the students and knowing how to adapt it and offer relevant examples and things. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind, I know that you've got a presentation to share with us about this, if you wouldn't mind taking us through some of those differences or adaptations that you've made to the curricula.
Sure. Okay. Now, nowadays doing the translation is easy because with the AI. But I start the translation process in 2014. This is 12 years ago.
Wow.
And then I and my assistant have to do it word by word, starting from scratch in the past. But nowadays it's much easier. But anyway, it's not only the translation, but also the cultural adaptation. That we did 3 versions, not only for the mainland China, which is the simplified Chinese character with the Putonghua, and then Taiwan with the traditional character with Putonghua, and in Hong Kong we use Cantonese, but with the traditional Chinese character. So that it is in the Chinese society, it's not just one version. We have 3 versions for different society. Okay, now what approaches that we have used? Number 1. We have to use the local faces. Okay, even the Paws, that's the character, look like a fluffy bear or whatever. It doesn't look like it's quite cultural free, but somehow there are still faces that is not the Chinese or not the Asian. We have to change it. And number 2, that we use the local celebrities that are familiar and popular in different society. In Taiwan, in Hong Kong, in mainland China, they have different the superstar in sports. So we change that. And also that we changed the stories. Some of the stories that, for example, like the Goldilocks and the 3 bears. Not many Chinese students know about that. We have to change it, change another stories. And also that we use more familiar animations, like we do not use the Peter Pan and Captain Hook. We use something that the more popular in the Asian society. And then we use more familiar metaphor. For example, like we do not use hot horse bun. We do not have that food in Asia. We use something else. And the last that we use, even that we take advantage of the cultural heritage. When we try to illustrate and we would like to instill certain values or whatever, we try to look into and tap into the cultural legacy in the Chinese society. Okay, now let's look at the local faces. Okay, now, for example, like this, you see this is all Chinese faces. Okay, okay. And also that, look at this is also the Chinese, they are familiar. They say that, oh, this is something that is local to us. And also that for this one, you see that these are all the Chinese faces. And for these local celebrities, you can see that this is for Hong Kong. And she is Li Weixi, which is very famous. It is a cyclist and also an Olympic medal winners. And this one is for Taiwan, and she is the badminton winner. And that a lot of the Taiwanese children love. This one is for the weightlifting for the mainland China, and all these are their local celebrities. Okay. Also, the familiar stories. For example, to replace the Goldilocks and the three bears, that we use the three little piglets. Because we know the intention. Usually, when we do the adaptation, we must not deviate from the intentions of the learning activities. In that activities, I think it is in lesson 1 or lesson 2 of the Paws, we try to illustrate that choice. That when we are calm, when we're able to make good choices. Okay, now these three little pigs, each of one make some choice, whether to use the easy way with straw, or maybe with wood, or maybe more difficult one, the bricks. And that's all of them have some kind of factor that make them make different choices. And also the choices have different consequences. So that we help the children to understand that the antecedents of choice and also the consequence of choices, and that how that our prefrontal cortex help us to make responsible and not reactive kind of choices. Okay, here is some also the familiar animation. Now, that's not many Chinese students know about Captain Hook and Peter Pan, but they know this one. Okay, now this is the animation from Japan, Doraemon. But the Doraemon is not only popular in Japan, it's also popular in Hong Kong and in Taiwan and also in China. And okay, that's in the Captain Hook and Peter Pan's video clip in the original English version, try to illustrate that how our mind, our thoughts make us ruminate because of the past experience that have you make Captain Hook afraid of the crocodile. Okay, now, and here, Doraemon is a robot cat without ears. Why? Because his ears have been eaten up by a mouse, so that he is afraid of mouse. And here that I will show you that this play very well his thoughts, his emotion, his bodily sensation, and also his urge, how it developed around the fear of the rats. Okay, here is it. Okay, let's look at this one.
睇下，驚喎，唔係老鼠，呢只係倉鼠嚟㗎。倉鼠唔係鼠啊，我咪攞走佢啊！對唔住啊，唔可以啊，因為部長成家人去旅行，所以要擺喺我哋度養住先。你個部長重要啲定我重要啲啊？倉鼠都唔驚你，反而你驚佢。
Okay, now this is an interesting one because the daddy got a mission from his boss because his boss is out for overseas travel. So he asked the father to take care of this is not a mouse. What do you call this?
Hamster?
Yes, hamster. But somehow that you can see that Doraemon was so afraid that he mistaken the hamster as the mouse. And then the aunt was so frightened and then climbed up to the curtain and asked the father to take it away. When the father said, no, because it is my responsibility to take care of the hamster for my boss. And then Doraemon said, who is more important, the boss or me? You don't like me anymore. Okay, you can see that this is the thoughts, the emotion. One thought leads to another thought, and then, okay, it's just like what we call the hot core sponge, but we do not use hot core sponge. We use Phillips screw. That more that you turn round and round and round. That's your thoughts will cause your emotion. The emotion will cause the bodily sensation and also cause the urge. The urge is to ask the father to take it away. When the father say no, and then another thought will come up. Another thought is, you don't like me anymore. I'm less important than your boss. Okay, now all this, the kid will understand. So, okay. Now, another approach that we use is that we try to make use of the cultural legacy. In the last section of Paws, we try to instill the attitudes of gratitude, gratefulness. And in Chinese culture, that is quite familiar, that most of the parents will tell the student about it, because this is from the Qing dynasty. There's what they call the lesson for the family. They said that, okay, now, for every meal, think of its heart-want origin. And for every thread, consider the difficulties of its productions. This is all along that when we were very young kids, we have been taught about that. Even a little grain of rice, that you have to be grateful, because it does not come easily to your bowl. Okay, so that at the end of the course, we particularly ask the kids to do the gratitude practice is with what we call the contemplation of a bowl of rice.
Oh.
So that we tap into the cultural heritage and cultural legacy and the values to make sure that the students feel that, oh, this is very Chinese, that we be grateful to even a small grain of rice, that we have to treasure it, to be grateful of it. Okay, now this is what we have done so far. This is some of the examples that how we make sure that the Paws course is culturally adapted to the Chinese society. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really lovely to see, because I can hear and I can see through what you've chosen how strongly it relates to the original stories, but that you've picked out something that will just sit more easily for the children and young people that you're working with. Yes. And I really love, especially, I like all of the different examples that you've got there, but I like the principle that you were saying is woven there throughout sort of cultural legacy about yes. valuing things mm-hmm. and appreciation mm-hmm. of small things. Mm-hmm. And how lovely in that practice to have that bowl of rice as the example of what we might be grateful for. And also thinking about what we know in terms of offering other people kind wishes as well. It all sits nicely with each other. And that cartoon is just fantastic. What a great way of showing both how the mind can work very quickly in telling stories. Like you were saying, one thing leading to another in terms of that reactivity, but also then the beauty of what can we do to steady, what can we do to slow down. And I'm guessing that a lot of people, but a lot of children, will relate to how quickly the mind can jump to the worst thing. You know, oh, your boss matters more than me. Is that what's happening here? That's something we can all really relate to. And of course, we know in terms of like where that comes in the structure of the curriculum, that then we move into thoughts, don't we? And how thoughts have that power a bit more.
Yeah. But the adaptations, even no matter what we do, the most important thing is that we need to know about the intention of each learning activities. We do not deviate from it, but we use different ways to bring out the intention. So this is most important. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that, because it is one of the things that I've written into the guidance for Make It Your Own is about the warp and the weft. So how does this continue to be recognisably mindfulness, recognisably the .B programme, and at the same time you're able to make adaptations that bring it to life and make it relevant for the children and young people in front of you. And that's a little bit of a balancing act, isn't it? To really find the right examples. And it sounds to me, and I can see from what you've just shown me, that you really have done that very well. You've really given that a lot of thought. I love the fact, by the way, that you've got different examples as well for kind of mainland China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong, that you really have got great examples. I have to say that I've seen the weightlifting one recently. I was lucky enough to be at a taster that one of our colleagues, Debbie Hugh, was giving, and she showed the weightlifted one. I could really see how it linked to this idea of what do we need before we do something focused, where it takes our effort. But yeah, thank you. Yes, staying true to the intentions is a key part of this work.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Shui-fong. It's really lovely to have heard about all of your incredible work that you're doing, but also for you to have shown me a little window in to where you've made those adaptations. And for anyone who's watching who isn't familiar with the Paws programme, then it's just an invitation here to find out a bit more. Come and ask us a bit more if you're interested in having a look. But also, we've been inviting our community to share where they too have made adaptations. So please feel free, wherever you are in the world. We've had people sending in from the United States and also here in the UK, but further afield, we really welcome hearing your ideas. And we've got a special page where we've been sharing those ideas in the Make It Your Own area in the hub on the MISC website. But a huge thank you, Professor Shui-fong Lam. Really value all of your work and wish you well with the work that you're going to be doing in the next year as well.
Yeah, sure.
Big connection.
Thank you. I'm so happy that we can have such a sharing time together.
Oh, thank you.